From the alley-oops at Kezar to the glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way. From off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback podcast time. Welcome to the show, everyone. Training camp is happening this week, and there are going to be lots of decisions that need to be made when it comes to roster construction. And one of those main factors in helping these players get on the field and make the 49ers 53-man roster is going to be contributions on special teams. We see it every single year. 49ers are deciding between player A and player B, and everyone's like, well, player A is a little bit better, but player B makes the roster. And then you find out that they're going to be making an impact on special teams, and it starts making sense. And now you throw in the fact that the 49ers have invested heavily during the offense on special teams. You look at the team, I said offense, the team, and you look at what they're doing with Brant Boyer, adding Brant Boyer to this coaching staff, and the reinvigorated nature of what this special teams unit is going to look like, the passion that he coaches with, the attention to detail, the fact that he was able to make it through several regimes in New York is a testament to just how good Brant Boyer is. And I think that the 49ers know that they need to invest. They needed to get better on special teams because it is a third of the game. And the 49ers special teams hasn't just not done well, but it's actually hurt their football team. The special teams unit has been a contributing factor in key losses. In even the biggest game in the Super Bowl, special teams reared its ugly head and caused the 49ers to not get over the top and beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and it was a pivotal mistake. Now the 49ers are looking at special teams and trying not to make it just something that doesn't hurt you, but something that could actually go out and help you win a game, that could put you in a situation to have better field position, to be able to contribute with points, to make the other team suffer when it comes to the battle for good field position. So it's an interesting factor, and really part of it is these players are going to have to make the roster by contributing on special teams. So we're going to go through a lot of the training camp battles along the special teams unit. I'm sure there'll be some that we don't quite get to because there's a lot of players that are going to be asked to contribute, because when you play key positions in the NFL, you're going to be asked to contribute on special teams. If you are a running back, there's probably an avenue for you to help on special teams. Wide receiver, cornerback, safety, linebacker. Now the way with the new kickoff, the dynamic kickoff rules, defensive ends are even more important when it comes to that portion of special teams, not just punt or field goals or PATs. All those things are also DNs. That's when you'll get some of the defensive linemen, some of the offensive linemen, tight ends involved. It really is a complete team effort when it comes to building a successful special teams. And of course, you don't want to have to play your starters on special teams, right? Last year, Deebo Samuel had to handle a lot of the kick return duties. Isaac Grendo had to handle a lot of the kick return duties, even when he was starting in place of Christian McCaffrey. So you don't want that to happen, but the only way you can prevent that from happening is having key players that are going to be able to help you. And for some, this is their avenue to make the team. Be really good at special teams. Just be the best possible special teams player you could be, right? Junior Bergen, like that is going to be his avenue to make this football team, is how well he plays on special teams. Can he be that guy that changes the game and changes field position and changes momentum for the 49ers? Well, we're going to talk about that in this episode. I think it's going to be a fun conversation. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're listening on an audio platform, 49ers Cutback on Believe Network, please give it a 5-star rating. And if you are going to bet with Bet Online. Bet Online continues to be your number one source for all your sports betting action. And with baseball season in full swing and football season around the corner, Bet Online has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, and scores, even live in-game betting. From MLB, UFC, to tennis and NFL futures, BetOnline remains your choice for sports wagering info. In between games, head over to the BetOnline casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. Head to the website today and take advantage of their industry-leading VIP program with level-up bonuses and weekly cash boosts. Bet online, the game starts here. And, it's interesting because every year I want to talk about special teams, and every single year there's just not very much clarity when it comes to the special teams unit. But I thought that this year there's definitely a lot more special teams clarity. And one of the positions that's going to be very much scrutinized and very much highlighted during training camp in the preseason is going to be the kicker position, because Jake Moody is the 49ers investment at kicker. It was just 2 years ago that the San Francisco 49ers drafted Jake Moody in the 3rd round, and everyone thought, hey, here we go. Jake Moody's got a big leg. He was so successful kicking for Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. He's got ice water in his veins. This is going to be a huge addition to the 49ers. I thought that as well. When you look at, what was going on with Robbie Gould, he was still extremely accurate and extremely clutch as a kicker, but he was starting to lose his length when it came to how far he could kick. So kicks under 50 yards became more the norm. 49ers needed an extra first down to be able to get into Robbie Gould field goal range. And Kyle Shanahan knew that they were going to have to make a decision at some point because those yards were becoming harder and harder to come by. Hitting a 55, 56-yard field goal from time to time can be the difference between winning a game and losing a game. So they decided, instead of investing money in Robbie Gould, they'd invest draft capital in Jake Moody. And you can argue that a 3rd-round pick is too high to draft a kicker, but it was a kicker they felt was going to be successful nonetheless. His rookie year, he was kind of hit and miss, but when it came to some of the biggest moments, he did show that ice water in his veins, be able to drill a 55-yard field goal in the Super Bowl. Impressive from him. That's something that's difficult to do. At one point, he held the record for longest field goal in a Super Bowl, only to be outdone by Harrison Butker, but it just illustrates that he does have the ability. Now, last season in 2024, Jake Moody was on fire early in the season, 12 of 13 when it came to field goals. Then he suffered the ankle injury because, let's make it clear, he didn't do a very good job with the kickoff, the dynamic kickoff, and he had to go out there and try to make a tackle. It ended up with an ankle injury. And after that, he was just never the same. He came back. Was it too early? Was he still hurt? That's a big question mark. But what we do know is he was inaccurate. And Brant Boyer has done everything he can to make sure that Jake Moody is going to be in a better situation. In comes a new long snapper. Out goes Tabor Pepper. In comes John Weeks, an all-pro caliber long snapper who's going to be consistent, who's going to get the ball right where it needs to be so the timing for Jake Moody can be spot on. Then they decided to move away from Mitch Wisnowski as punter and bring in Thomas Morstead. It's going to help with this transition, and now you've got another all-pro caliber player that is going to be able to play the position consistently. What they've done is make a comfort blanket around Jake Moody, where he doesn't have to worry about anything about the process. Just go up there and then kick the ball. And then Jake Moody has changed the way he kicks. No longer does he take 3 steps. He now takes 2 steps. And from what we've been able to ascertain so far, he hasn't really lost any of the distance. He's still making 55-yard field goals out during OTAs and minicamp. So the question marks are going to be, can Jake Moody beat out Greg Joseph? The 49ers promised to bring in a veteran kicker to compete with Jake Moody, and I think we were all thinking it was going to be somebody a little bit more established, right? Somebody that had a little bit more NFL acumen, somebody that had been really good, that was going to push Jake Moody to the brink in this competition. But in comes Greg Joseph, who's familiar with Brant Boyer because he's kicked with the New York Jets. So Boyer brings him in. I think Boyer's very invested in Jake Moody. And I think Jake Moody's going to get every opportunity to win this job. But it's not just making field goals. We do know that that's a very important part of it. But it's also going to be, how well is he going to handle the dynamic kickoff? He has to be able to get the ball into the landing zone. That's very important. That's extremely important this year. You get penalized big time if you don't make the landing zone. The ball comes out to the 40-yard line. Field position is a premium in the NFL. A offense being able to start at the 40, that's not good. But also, touchbacks now, you're penalized even more. Last year, a lot of teams would just blast it in the end zone. Offense would take it out to the 30-yard line. Well, in 2025, if you blast it into the end zone, now the ball comes out to the 35. We were talking about the 40 a second ago. Field position matters. So that's going to be a big portion of Jake Moody's kickoff responsibilities, is landing it in the landing zone and making sure the 49ers have an opportunity to hold these special teams units from getting past the 30-yard line. Anything between, the 25 and 30 is a big win for a kickoff team. So with that being said, there's plenty of other guys that are going to have to contribute to that, but that's going to be an added element to this competition. It's not just making field goals, but it's also kickoffs that are going to be extremely important for Jake Moody, and he just has to be better at it. He just has to be consistent about making it land in the landing zone. And you want it to land in that 3 to 1 yard area next to the end zone, so that way you can have an opportunity for that ball to die and for those guys to potentially have to return it out. If it goes too deep, they'll let it go through the end zone. They'll take the touchback. If you leave it too short, number one, they could have a good shot at a return, but also you could run the risk of it not hitting the landing zone and the ball coming out to the 40, which would be a huge element to how the 49ers handle things on defense for Robert Saleh. So this is going to be a key element and why Brant Boyer is investing so much in this situation. Now, I talked about John Weeks and Thomas Morstead, and I have to admit, these were great additions. And, whatever you have to say about Tabor Pepper, Pepper was good for a while here in San Francisco, but he has become had become a little bit more inconsistent over the last year or so. Sometimes his his snaps were a little bit more erratic, a little bit off to the right, a little bit off to the left. And those things can kind of contribute to timing issues. And so the 49ers going with John Weeks, I think, was a great choice. He's going to be very consistent for this football team. And then Thomas Morstead as a punter, his distance on punts has fell off. His hang time has fallen off. He's a little bit older, but he has been consistent. There's not issues with how consistent he's going to be with punt in and punt out. It's not 40 and then it's, 58 and then all of a sudden it's 38. That's not how he goes. He's like 48, 49, 48, 49, 50, 52. And it's consistent with distance, which allows a punt team to be able to understand how much time that ball is going to be in the air, which direction it's going to go, and be able to get there with good timing. But also, you don't want to outkick your coverage, and you also want to make sure you give your guys time enough to get there. And I think Morstead's going to do a very good job with that, some good directional kicking. So I do think the 49ers investing in that area was a key element as well. So I do believe Jake Moody's going to end up winning this job. I think they have set him up for it. I think he's going to be consistent through training camp and the preseason, and we'll see what happens during the season. I don't think that the 49ers are just going to ignore the kicker position. I think that they're going to potentially have someone on speed dial, maybe even someone on the practice squad, that they can be prepared in case something happens with Jake Moody. They are not going to lose games because of the kicker this season. They are going to expect Jake Moody to step up and make some clutch kicks for this football team. And if he's not, they will get somebody to step in and get that done. So this is going to be a make or break year for Jake Moody. I think we're all hoping it's going to make, and he's going to start making all these kicks. He's going to handle kickoff situation, and everything's going to be good, and the investment will finally yield the reward that everyone's been hoping, that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan have been hoping. And Brant Boyer may have just done it by insulating him with key veterans that can help support him, but also just the fact that he believes in him could be a huge determining factor. Now, another key battle is going to be when it comes to the return positions. So Junior Bergen, the 49ers 7th round pick, is a Brant Boyer special. Brant Boyer watched him play with his son in college, and Boyer is very invested in Junior Bergen. And all you have to do is go watch Junior Bergen's film, and you will see a guy who is dynamic in the open space. Like, no one can argue Junior Bergen's vision. Nobody. The guy, when he's in space, he just can accelerate on the drop of a dime. He could get moving, and when he does, he's got the vision to know where to go and where not to go. So it's very significant for Junior Bergen that he be able to do those things for Brant Boyer special teams, because the truth is Junior Bergen's coming into a situation where the 49ers are looking for a return guy that could handle business. Actually, it was a few years ago now, the 49ers invested in a return guy in Ray McLeod. And McLeod had a lot of acclaim around the league and a guy that really does a pretty good job. Now, he had his fumbling issues. That was something everyone knew when he came to San Francisco, but it was worth the risk because of his ability to get extra yards, handle punt and kickoff return. Well, now the 49ers are investing, not in free agency, but when it comes to the draft. And Bergen's avenue to make this football team is entirely tied to his special teams prowess. He's not going to make this team on his wide receiver ability alone. He has to be successful when it comes to punt return and kick return. And there's an incumbent when it comes to the punt return position that's going to have an opportunity to hold off Junior Bergen, and that's Jacob Cowing. And Jacob Cowing comes in, and he's very much like the 49ers invested in 2019 in Richie. I just went blank on the last name, but everyone knows who I'm talking about. And you had an opportunity there, and he did a really good job for the 49ers with kick return, punt return, and handle Richie James. Thank you. It finally came to me. And so now you've got Jacob Cowing in a similar situation. And I thought Cowing did a really good job, especially for a rookie. You have so many things you've got to think about. Yet when Jacob Cowing got out there, he handled business. He really handled the punt return job really well. And he's not the best receiver of the football in the team when it comes to punt return. That is Ricky Pearsall. But Pearsall's not going to be the punt returner. Not with him moving up into the higher points of the depth when it comes to the wide receiver position. He's going to be wide receiver 1 or 2, more than likely 2 as long as he's healthy. And so he's not going to be handling punt return duties. But Jacob Cowing still can. And I think this is going to be a real battle to watch in training camp because the 49ers, once again, are invested in getting better field position. And Kyle Shanahan's first objective always has been make sure that guy secures the football so we can get on offense. But if you can get a guy who has the ability to flip the field and flip field position and get momentum with a return on that punt, you 100% want to do it, right? We've seen guys like Ted Ginn for the 49ers completely change a game because of his ability in the return game. We've seen guys like John Taylor throughout the years be able to handle business and not only get the 49ers good field position, but potentially win games, change games, because they can get into the end zone. Jacob Cowing didn't really show the ability last season to get all those yards, but he has the ability. He runs a 4.3. He's got pretty good vision in space. You can see it all the time when you look at what he did in college, especially in the screen game. So it's not that he doesn't have the ability. But Junior Bergen has got to be the most motivated player in the special teams unit to make sure that he gets things done. Because he needs to win in the return game to be able to make this football team. So the first thing he's got to do is secure the catch, because that's going to be the number one objective for Brant Boyer and for Kyle Shanahan, is to have a punt returner that they can trust that can catch the ball. And there's a lot of things that go into this. The spin of the football matters. The punters are putting more English on these footballs than ever before, making it more difficult. You've got some teams that will invest in a left-footed kicker because you get a different spin on the ball. And the main thing is you've got to catch the ball, secure the catch, and be able to turn the ball over to Brock Purdy so he has an opportunity to go down and potentially score. But you also would love to have somebody that you're in a situation where you've got some space on that punt return team. The punt team didn't get there. The gunners aren't around you, that you can make something happen. And this is where Junior Bergen comes in, because I do believe he has the ability, if it translates from college, to be able to do that, where teams could have to worry about punting the ball to him, and maybe they decide to punt the ball out of bounds. Maybe they decide that they'd rather give up some field position to fear Junior Bergen. Now, that's a big stretch because he hasn't done it in the NFL, but that's the Brant Boyer investment in Junior Bergen, is because he's seen that in college. He's hoping that that's going to be something he can do. Bergen excels when it comes to punt return and kick return. So this is going to be one of the key battles in training camp. This is going to be one of the things to monitor is when they're out there. They will go through this a lot at practice. They will have several returners that go out there and catch punts just over and over and over. And the 49ers will have several punters that come in. They'll even work out other punters. They'll bring in left-footed punters. And they'll have these guys catch the football. That's how they get a lot of work. And so if Junior Bergen can win the punt return battle over Jacob Cowing, that's how he makes his football team. Now, it's not just going to be punt return, but that's a big investment and a big opportunity for him. Now, Cowing, I believe, has the upper hand because Cowing is a secure receiver of the football when it comes to punt. It's a tough thing to do, dealing with all the different things that are in the sky, dealing with the sun, dealing with different stadiums, also dealing with indoor stadiums and the way it looks when you look up. You got the video backdrop, you've got the ceiling. A lot of those things make it difficult. And Cowing proved last year he can handle it. Bergen has to prove he can handle it, and then we'll start talking about what he could do once the ball's in his hands. But that's going to be one of the cool matchups. And it kind of rolls straight into the kick return duties. And I talked about field position earlier with Jake Moody and how he handles kickoffs. That's also going to be something huge for the 49ers special teams when it comes to putting their offense in a good situation. Now, for whatever reason, you don't know why they're kicking off. Either the opposing team scored, it's a change of half, it's the start of the game. Either way, you would love to have a dynamic play to get your offense rolling. And we've talked about this before. With every single yard that you start closer to the opposite end zone, you have a chance to score. Your percentages go up. And last year, most teams wanted to start at the 30, and we've seen scoring rates continue to increase. This year, it could be the 35. The average for teams starting as far as field position is going to continue to increase. The 49ers need to take advantage of that. They need to be able to start 35-yard and plus, so that way they give themselves a better opportunity. Now, if you're in that situation, you're potentially 2.5, 3 first downs away from putting Jake Moody in position to kick a field goal. You are now 1 or 2 less first downs needed to get into the red zone and score a touchdown. These are the investments that they're trying to make. So Brad Boyer investing in a kick returner like Junior Bergen, I think is a smart move. If he can change field position for the 49ers using this dynamic kickoff, which now a returner is more incentivized to have because a lot of teams don't want to blast it through the end zone and start at the 35, well, that means that you want to have a guy like Junior Bergen. It's important now to have a player that can return. But there's more than one return guy for the 49ers kickoff return. You have 2 guys that are going to be back there in dynamic kickoff. And there are several names. The 49ers have so many names that are involved in this. First off, Isaac Guerendo. And I know Guerendo's probably going to be asked to play a lot of offense, but it doesn't mean that he can't handle return duties because Christian McCaffrey goes back to being the number 1 back. And as long as Christian McCaffrey is the number 1 back, Guerendo is available. He is the most dynamic of the 49ers offensive playmakers that can play kick returner. With that speed, he has the chance to take it to the house every time. All you have to do is go look at preseason game number 3 last season, and you see a guy that has the potential for a whole shot play. Those are the things that change games. Guerendo has that ability. Now, where Guerendo's weakness is holding on to the football. He fumbled a lot. That is going to have to be something that is addressed. And, of course, I'm sure Bobby Turner, I'm sure he was working on it, last season. But all during the offseason, Guerendo also needed to be working on this because you start fumbling the ball, it doesn't matter if it's kick return or on offense, Kyle Shanahan is going to rip you a new one. So Guerendo has to be in the mix for this kickoff return job. Now, interestingly enough, Jacob Cowing wasn't a part of the kick return duties last year. And I think that he might get a shot, but I think most of the time, when you look at the new dynamic kickoff rules, they were investing in more of the big wide receiver, big running back type players because of navigating through space. So we'll see if Jacob Cowing gets a shot. We do know Guerendo, Junior Bergen have to be the 2 favorites for the position, and Bergen's vision is something I can't wait to see. He doesn't have the speed of Guerendo, but he has better vision than Guerendo when in open spaces. He has potential to be a yak monster on offense too, once everything comes together, because in the open field, he is dynamic and dangerous. So this is where Bergen makes his his money, right? Punt return and kick return. This is his opportunity. And Bergen's going to get the first opportunity out there. He's going to be one of the first guys to go out there and get a chance to prove it. Boyer's guy, investment by the 49ers, go prove you're Dante Hall. Go prove you're Ted Ginn. Go prove you're one of those guys that could change the game. And so I think Junior Bergen's going to be a part of it. Now, Patrick Taylor, he was a part of it last season, so I think he's going to also be in the mix. No dynamics there, right? No elite speed, but he can get you out past the 35-yard line. He has that potential. He doesn't fumble, secures the football. He's a safe bet. He'll be a part of the competition. Israel Abanikanda is a guy who did some returns for Brant Boyer in New York. So I think he's going to be a part of it because this is his avenue to make the team and show that he has the ability to help beyond just the offense. And that's going to be one of the key elements for the depth of the running back room is which one of these guys, Patrick Taylor Jr., Israel Abanikanda, or Corey Kiner can prove their worth on special teams. It doesn't mean it has to be as a returner. They could be a gunner. They could be another position. But they're going to have to prove their worth on special teams to be able to be the end of the depth chart player for the 49ers. So Abanikanda has a shot. Now, he had the same issues as Isaac Guerrero. He fumbled. He only had 3 attempts at one point, and he had 1 fumble in those 3 attempts. So Abanikanda has to prove it. And this is a guy that, when you look at kick return, he should be a guy ready for the position. He is good in space. He's got some speed. He runs a 4.4 40. He's 220 pounds. He's a big physical guy. This should afford him the opportunity to be a good returner. So maybe they'll give him another shot. I think they will give him a shot. I think Boyer's going to give him a shot because this is his avenue to prove that he can make this team. I talked about Kiner as well. He's going to be a lot in the Patrick Taylor type situation where he's going to be a safe bet. He'll be pretty good at it. He's good at reading blocks. That will help him a little bit. But when you're talking about dynamics, you're going to get more dynamics from Junior Bergen, from Isaac Guerrero, from Israel Abanikanda. Those are guys who have whole shot potential. Corey Kiner, not so much. Now, the next guy, I've been bringing him up for a while, is Dallas Flowers, the cornerback from Indianapolis, who boasts over a 30 yards per return average as a kick returner, including touchdowns in the NFL when he played for the Indianapolis Colts. So this is an avenue for Dallas Flowers to be able to compete, and I do expect to see him back there. I think he's a real option for the 49ers as a kick returner, so he's going to be very interesting for the 49ers. Well, lots of guys in last year, so you guys understand, there was a ton of guys in the mix for a kick return. They would put in several different units and just roll them through, including units that included Kyle Juszczyk. So they had like 8 different guys trying out. I think it's going to be the same way this year as you're looking for the best guys that can handle the situation for Brant Boyer. Now, Malik Knowles is a wide receiver they brought in, and this is something that he does as well. This is a avenue that would help Malik Knowles make the team into the depth chart on offense, looking for an opportunity to get on the field. Malik Knowles is going to go out there, and he's trying to do the same thing Junior Bergen's doing. Show out on special teams so you can make the squad. And he's a good returner. He has the ability. That's the thing with these into the roster guys. The 49ers have some guys that have some real skin in the game and have some real ability when it comes to kick return, which I think is going to be huge for this. Jordan Watkins is another player to take a look at, but I think he's kind of more on the outside looking in. So that's going to be an interesting battle. Bergen, this is his shot to make the team. Flowers, this could definitely put him over the top. I'm keeping an eye on Guerrero and Abanikanda, see what they do as well. I think it's going to be a fun kickoff return matchup. And hey, we haven't been excited about kickoff and punt return in preseason for a long time. Now we're going to be. Don't get up and go get something to drink when preseason comes and it's kickoff or punt return, because now we're invested in seeing who this is going to be. Who knows? We'll see what Junior Bergen can do. And at least in the preseason, a lot of times they'll get some action, but also joint practices. Get ready for that. They will scheme it up to allow these guys. Now, one more position that's going to be extremely important, and I know that linebackers on special teams is going to be a huge battle, and we'll talk about that another time, but is the gunner. And the 49ers have invested with several players that can compete, but they're replacing a guy like Chris Conley as a gunner, and they're going to have to make sure they do a good job. They brought in Saron Neal. I think Saron Neal's going to have a real shot at this. Dallas Flowers, who I talked about as a kick returner, another guy that can handle it, the speed, the length. He's going to be in the mix for gunner. And these are very important because on the punt, you want to be able to establish yourself. And we've seen some good ones through the years for the 49ers. Rookie Marquis Siegel is going to be another one. 4.3 speed with the size to be able to run. He's going to be important. Isaiah Nair, right? Busting with the boys, talking about Nair as a gunner on the outside. That speed, that length, yes, 100%. This is how one of the ways Isaiah Nair potentially makes the team. Malik Knowles, Tariq Owens, Darrell Luter Jr., all of them in competition as well to have a shot to make this team as a gunner. And why is it so important? So when you punt the football, the two guys that are taking off from the outside are your gunners. Those guys are going down there and they are trying to get to the returner before he has any space. It's very important that that player is fast, is long, is able to disengage from offensive players, but can take on multiple guys because a lot of times he's going to get doubled up. He's got to be able to work through it. He's got to battle. He's got to compete. And if one of them fails, it can create a opportunity for a big return. If they get down there, they can force a fair catch. They can force a turnover. And we've seen the 49ers do this extensively through the years. Some of the Tony Montana teams were really good in this area, and it created a lot of opportunities on special teams for turnovers. But guys like Neal, who they brought in, and Saron Neal is a special teams ace. So this is his shot to make the team if he goes out and proves it right. He's the new George Odom. Odom was the safety version, but Saron Neal is the corner version. And I think Saron Neal, this is his shot, and I think he's going to be really good at it. Flowers, I think, is going to be very good at it. But how about Darrell Luter Jr.? Darrell Luter Jr. has not been good on special teams through 2 years. And now you're going to be a depth player at cornerback. You better develop as a guy that can produce out on the outside, because what you don't want is Robert Saleh saying in the rooms when they're trying to decide who makes this roster, yeah, we could go Darrell Luter Jr. or Dallas Flowers. They're super close. Brant, what do you think? And Brant Boyer go, I would rather have Dallas Flowers on special teams than Darrell Luter Jr. Like, those are the conversations that are going to happen. And so if you get into a situation where it's either or, that special teams coach might sign off on making a decision, because when it comes to salary, it's not going to really be that much different. So the capologists are not going to care as much. So those are the types of things that happen. Isaiah Nair, for instance, he could make this team by being significant when it comes to being a gunner as well. Now, some key guys right before we wrap up that I want to talk about that are going to be important on how they make this football team is also going to come down at linebacker. So one of the things the 49ers struggled with last year was kickoff coverage. And that means you're kicking off the ball and you're going to make tackles and not allow big returns. The 49ers gave up big returns because linebackers and safeties missed tackles last year. And they had guys like Jalen Graham that they brought back. Tatum Bethune struggled on special teams last year. He's kind of in that Darrell Luter Jr. element where he struggled. Well, the 49ers brought in some special teams guys, and I think this is how they're going to make the team. They just have to prove that they're still good. Luke Gifford, special teams guy, very good for the Tennessee Titans. He's considered one of the better special teams players in the league. And Chaz Surratt, who played for Brant Boyer last year, who had 10 tackles for Brant Boyer last year. These two guys are going to be highly significant for the 49ers special teams and their kickoff team. And I think that that's going to give them the opportunity, those two guys especially, to make the team over guys like Jalen Graham or Stone Blanton. I think Blanton will be a special teams guy too. But this is what makes it difficult for Curtis Robinson, who's going to start on the PUP team, or Tatum Bethune, who wasn't great tackling last year, or even a guy like Jalen Mahoney at safety, who was kind of put in that role as well. It's going to be difficult for those guys to overcome Gifford and Surratt, and why I think those guys are not only going to help the 49ers special teams improve mightily, but I think that's what's going to help those guys make this football team. So special teams has a lot of fun battles this year, and isn't it nice to talk about a unit that not only could not hurt you, but make a difference for your football team? And I think that's what they're looking for in this. Let me know in the comment section down below who's going to win the battle for punt return and kick return. Does Junior Bergen make this team because of that ability? I'm really curious what happens. I'm excited for training camp because of all these things going down. It's going to be fun. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. If you're listening on audio platform, 49ers Cutback on Believe Network, please give it a 5-star rating. This episode was brought to you by Bet Online. The game starts here. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Until then, stay safe. Remember, the right way is always the 49ers way.